Okay, so I think I'm live streaming to 0 viewers. This is my favorite Texas campground. So this was all closed off before, but now it's opened up, and it is still empty. I think this is group sites, but I'm not totally sure. This is where the playground is. A back entrance that has remained closed ever since I've been here months ago. A pavilion, which probably is a separate fee and reservation requirement. Typical bathhouse. And so I've been knowing for quite some time, basically since my last Instagram update, that was like, hey, I know I haven't been updating, and I need to update. I'll do better. Well, that was a lie. I did not do better. And that's okay. So I have different videos in the need to record list. For instance, I have the latest gen shoes by Asics, uh, number 8, and I did a video on the differences between the 5, 6, 7, and to my surprise, that video got like 5,000 views. So I should probably do an update since I have generation 6, 7, and 8 in my car, and I've used these for quite some time now. And the biggest issue I thought I would have, the laces, has not been an issue. Just a quick review, I guess, would be that surprisingly durable all around. Just fantastic. So this is the first. Oh, I'm not. There we go. This is the first major issue I've seen. Is orientation is locked. Rotate device. Okay. Um, this is the first quality issue that I've seen. And that is a seam that has just come open. Nothing else has begun to peel or fray. I don't have a lot of concrete highway miles on these necessarily. There is difference between, say, this and that. They are well worn. I do have a lot more trail miles on these comparatively to pairs in my previous reviews. But one idea I've been thinking about for a while is maybe I just should go live from time to time instead of worrying about specific videos and whatnot. I know I don't make any money from YouTube. I'm not YouTube famous or semi-famous or anything of the sort. So this is all in an effort to keep my loved ones and friends and family and such up to date. That is not ideal. We have an alarm that has not been addressed. Smells kind of like sewage, so maybe the recent rains have fucked that system a little bit. This here is very high. This lake, it's the highest I've seen it. So yeah, I haven't done any purposeful working out or exercise of any kind. No hiking, no yoga, no backpacking, no nothing. For about 2 weeks, maybe more. Been enjoying food, beer, whatever, and put on 10, maybe 15 pounds. I have very strict guidelines. I want to weigh myself, so anything outside of that is kind of like, how accurate is it, right? And that's okay. I'm not concerned about that because I kind of was stressed on the drive back east, having to do 2,400 miles in I don't know, 5 or 6 days. Um, so I didn't worry about my eating or anything like that. And now I'm trying to, go back to where I was before with these healthy habits, eating more salads, uh, drinking less, etc. So even if you drink like straight vodka or something like that, no sugar added, it still has a caloric value. And so it's like empty calories. And that's why I typically cut out a significant amount of drinking while I'm, head down geared into getting back in fitness and things like that. Um, so this is Ratcliffe Lake. It is absolutely beautiful. Um, in the colder months, in the morning, it has this beautiful steamy mist that rises off the lake in the morning. So there's a loop up here, and I would typically park there while making my morning coffee and just enjoy the view while letting my car heat me up and doing my morning routine of brewing coffee, etc. So coming up, I'm going to get very wet. Um, this is something I tried avoiding several times when the lake was not anywhere near as full as it is now. So I'm kind of curious, how deep will it go? Will it touch my knees? Will it touch my butt? How deep is it? But there's this trail that comes around here, and you can do this whole loop, and it's 2-3 miles. I forget exactly. I've hiked all around here so much that any stay longer than a night, I plan to further explore a local state park, Tejas, Tejas park. That's local. Oh, it's not overflowing on the main section right now. We still have the stoppage of the log. I could actually maybe do this in my sneakers. This is interesting how much the grass and this log have stopped up the overflow here. So I've seen this to where there is no water at all flowing across here. I've seen where there's water flowing across the whole thing. I attempted to cross it 2 or 3 times. One time I was committed, I just got to take my shoes off, no big deal. And then I decided I'd try to go around down there, across the rocks and stuff. And because there's quite big rocks down there, and I still messed up and got my feet totally wet. Um, but for one reason or another, with the growth and everything, despite the super high level of the lake, it can only flow in here so quick, and then it harbor. Um, it's only trickling by there, so I think I might actually leave my sneakers on, which experience would tell me is a mistake. But does not look very deep at all. Yeah, not one bit. So let me put you in my pocket for a second as we cross this without removing our sneakers, even though I fully intended to do that given my multiple attempts and failures at crossing without wetting myself before. Actually, I think I tried jumping. I'm trying to remember. I think I slipped and got myself half. It's been a long time. Okay, you are tucked away in the pocket. We've got our new hiking poles here. Let's put our hands in the grips. Easy peasy. No jumping needed. Oh yeah. That's slippery shit. Whoop 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 whoop. Glad I put you in the pocket. Glad I put you in the pocket. Oh, that's slippery too. Okay, now we're back to dry. Whew. If I was a full-time YouTuber or even making some sort of income on YouTube, then I would have, a cameraman or some type of rig so you could have watched all my slips and almost fails. But This is 100% amateur, no income, for the passion of it only. Sit up here. Something pooped. And I think it was a person because of the paper towels nearby. Interesting place to poop. I have pooped in the wilderness many a times. And I gotta say that is an odd place. And not really ideal or cool, so close to the water source. That is how bad things happen. So yeah, this is just kind of a, I don't know what you call it, shakedown hike or whatever. No, not quite, because I don't have my backpack and packing stuff on me. But I'm planning to go to the Grand Canyon, get a backcountry wilderness permit for at least one night, go check out a really cool spot. And I know I haven't been very active for a couple weeks. So what did I do during those weeks? Besides driving a lot, well, I also replaced a lot of gear that, won't necessarily save me a ton of weight, but it expands. I mean, well, I have an old Exos 46, and I was temporarily, because that thing's so beat up, using a pack that's almost like new that weighs twice as much. So I did replace the super beat up old Exos 46 with the Exos 48. So it went from like 2.25 pounds to 2.75 pounds. It looks like all improvements. It's another topic I can make a video on potentially. The differences between two, especially after I use it for a little while. But my old hiking poles, for example, had some shock bits in them, some little bit of rubber compression, and those had just deteriorated. My dad finds uses for all kinds of stuff, so he took them from me. Who knows what gizmo or gadget or purpose he'll repurpose them for. If you talk about, the R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, he's all about the reuse. He can take damn near anything and figure out a new use for it, which is applaudable. So I got these suckers recommended by Dan Becker, I believe, on YouTube, and they are kind of like this bang for the buck for lightweight solution. I believe they're still aluminum. I was looking at all these options that were $100 or $200, maybe more, and these suckers are extremely lightweight and like $60, $80, something like that. So great purchase as far as weight to cost to functionality ratio. First time I had this twist lock. Haven't used that before. Seems pretty good so far. I'm used to the mechanical lock. What else? Yeah, new backpack, new hiking poles, new sleep system. So, yeah, for a good example, my sleep system, I now have a Vesper quilt instead of my old REI flash bag, and my pad has been updated, and the weight is similar, but my issues were even when I was hiking the Appalachian Trail, my REI flash bag was not keeping up with the, low temperatures of it snowing on the Smokies and whatnot. I had to get a liner. It was just not keeping me warm enough. And so there's been a lot of progress in different areas over the years. Some areas doesn't seem like there's been as much progress, like packs, for example. It was really difficult to pull the trigger on the newest model of a pack that I bought in 2008, and it weighs a half pound more. Like, that's significant, you know? That's what, 20% weight increase from 2008 or so to today. Like, it doesn't make sense. Looks like it's all for durability purposes, so that could be really great. My pack got shredded to shit, so we'll see. And the jury's still out on that one. But other areas, seems like technology and thought process about different things certainly has come a long way. For example, the quilt instead of a bag, you know, if your sleeping pad has a high enough R value, which is insulation value, they use the same scale for insulation in your home, for example, then you don't need the insulation from the bag itself underneath of you. You know, that's the whole point of putting a pad between you and the ground, is to insulate you from the cold ass ground. And, you know, if that's good enough to insulate you from the ground, then why do you need to waste insulation of the bag itself and weight and everything from a sleeping bag? And then also, I have been unhappy with the bag from like since day one because I'm a side sleeper, I'm a stomach sleeper, I toss and turn, and mummy bags can become a fucking nightmare. They'll like get twisted up on you 180 degrees. They'll stay, you know, in its correct orientation instead of getting twisted. It'll just rotate about your body, you know, 180 degrees. So the zipper and everything get out, the hood and everything, that's supposed to be behind you when you're, you know, just this perfect sleeping specimen on your back without tossing or turning at all. Now is just like, you know, over your face, and you don't know how to get to the zipper and everything when you wake up at first. Like, you know, I never freaked out or anything, but I could understand how other people have, you know, much more traumatic experiences with tight fitting mummy bags. So the quilt takes care of all those issues. They have two little lines that run underneath the sleeping pad to make sure the quilt doesn't, you know, shift, or you can't really like kick it off necessarily. If it's warmer outside, like last night, you just undo those bands completely. You don't even put them underneath the sleeping pad, and then you're able to just drape it over your feet or put it next to you and then bring it over you. You know, you're able to treat it more like a blanket, because it was quite warm last night, so I barely used it. But anyways, so my previous system was not good for low temperatures at all, and I had to add weight by getting a bag liner. And during my car camping, I was stacking two sleeping pads on top of each other, which the R value is good enough, but it's not something you want to do backpacking, right? It's better to just have a lighter weight, higher R value sleeping pad to begin with. To have a couple ounces more newer, better, you know, technology and quality sleeping quilt to begin with that works with your sleeping style and everything, then being tied down to a mummy bag from 2008 that, you know, causes all these irritations to your daily living. And so, yeah, that's kind of the core of a lot of my gear upgrades recently. Is like, I never consider myself like ultra light necessarily. It's more like, let's take that ideal and you know, be smart about things. And that's one of the reasons I stuck with the Exos. The Exos always perform great for heavier loads, and it worked well with my packing style. I've seen that, you know, this shit wasn't around to the same degree when I went through, backpacking the Appalachian Trail, but there's a lot of YouTubers now, and they can make their living, not just doing backpacking gear reviews, but also kind of like, I don't know what you call it, like vacation porn or whatever, right? Like you get to witness the magic of backpacking without having to do it. And I've read some of the comments from time to time, and there's people that have mobility issues and absolutely love this content because they're like, it's just something I'm not physically capable to do, so it's super enjoyable. So I'm not denigrating it, but this is all the sort of stuff that didn't really exist when I was doing all my research. You know what I mean? Like we were still using paper map books. And they didn't have the Onyx app or the All Trails app, or there's a whole bunch of apps now. Um, it was two choices: either the official maps and kind of figuring it out all out yourself, or this one guy with the green book that had all the pertinent information, elevations, because the AT is so well marked throughout it. That you don't really need like a compass and maps in case you veer off trail or anything like that. The trail is just so well maintained and marked up. But yeah, so times have changed, and I don't know where that airplane was supposed to land exactly, where I was going with that, with the YouTubers and everything. But there's a push toward the lightest weight, so this area is still quite a disaster. Now, granted, it did rain like yesterday or so, and I've seen it way worse than this. It's kind of cool to see. Excuse me. Some makeshift solutions here with a scrap of wood and some logs and stuff. What I was doing at times for most of this section that you just saw me on is because the whole section gets pretty bad when it rains and whatnot, is walk along the outskirts. Wherever you see a little bit of growth, then there's at least some roots and stuff, so your foot shouldn't sink in. Yeah. So for me, yeah, it's not about ultralight no matter what, because I have done hundreds of miles before without even being able to fasten the hip belt, right? Like most of my time on the Appalachian Trail, I was too big for my pack because the pack was sized for me the year before, not after all the weight gain. And so I was already committed, right? I had all my gear. I took a break from my job, and so I had to decide, you know, what's going to stop me from going on, right? Like, am I going to let the fact that my hip belt doesn't buckle stop me? And I decided no, it won't stop me. And why? Because I had a big fat backpack with tons of heavy ass textbooks in it at times. Jansport in high school, right? Like, I'm a big guy, all this weight, I can kind of carry it without issue in a way. And it only became an issue when the abrasion between the back pad section and my back was so frictionless that it was causing damage to the pack and absolutely shredded my shirt and began causing damage to my skin. And then I just bought a Mountain Hardware shirt for $40, and that thing was great. It was built good. I tried messaging the CEO and called their customer support several times. Unfortunately, they don't make that design anymore. It was the best backpacking shirt. The price, the durability, the cut. So a lot of these brands, from what I can tell, like Patagonia is a great example where the majority of their shirts is a rock or something. Shoot. The design of their shirts is that, they might have a couple different fabrics or whatever, but as much as Patagonia used to be for, mountain climbers and other kind of activities, etc., they're just straight up t-shirt style cuts. They this one is not that much better, but it is a little bit better because see that's what we call a gusset. There's no seam there underneath the armpit. So typically the armpit seam goes all the way around the sleeve section, whereas in this one it only goes like 3/4 the way around, and then that panel runs down. And these shirts are actually designed for runners, which don't really lift their arms. So if runners need this amount of flexibility and gusseting, imagine a hiker, a backpacker who's wearing a whole fucking pack and everything and might have to climb up shit, scurry around shit. Like, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate and frustrating at times, but it is what it is. You adapt, you find new gear, etc. I wore boots a lot on the trail, and now I'm mostly wearing sneakers. Oh, there it is. These are not anything special. They are not talked about in any of the reviews for backpackers or hikers. I made the swap from, it wasn't Reebok, who was it? One of those main brands that is popular for having, sizes in wide. Give me a second here, but I'll think of it. I'm not thinking of it. Anywho, I made the swap from them to Asics because the inconsistency in their shoes was frustrating. They'd drop designs, they'd introduce new designs, and now the sizing seems off. If you were to get your foot measured according to like the standardization in the country you live, you would hope you could buy shoes according to that size and not have issues. That is not the case in America. And that is not necessarily the case in shoemaking either, because they use different lasts. I went down this whole wormhole about shoes, and it's fascinating, and I won't get into it, but what I like about Asics is I'd used them before when I was on the trail. I had a pair that were super lightweight. I bought them at Sports Authority on sale because they were the previous year's model. They were meant for really running people, and they were heavily marked down because of the previous year's model. And they were my size. I was thoroughly impressed. They were fantastic. And so when I got sick of this one brand, I decided, well, let me see if Asics has wides, because not all brands are really that great with carrying their models in wide sizes, and then how wide, And so these suckers, they keep making year after year after year. They'll update them every few years or whatever. It's the latest generation. There's some changes. You might not like them. You might like them. But the price sticks around the same. It's affordable. They come in a variety of sizes, including wide. And so it's fantastic. And I've been more than happy with them. So when it came to hiking the Grand Canyon or what have you, it's like, fuck it. Let's go with, the sneakers I know. And technically they are for hiking, but that doesn't mean they get the buy-in from the YouTube backpacker hiking community, right? That's why my video was able to get so many views when I reviewed multiple generations of it. I gotta pee. And the exit was closed by water. But yeah, so far these things are fucking great. You know, they're not quite as lightweight or as cushy as those ones I used on the trail way back in the day. But they are durable. They will perform well in the wet on variant surfaces. The amount of midsole, outsole, etc. is great. You can take on a whole bunch of like, I don't know, like bouldering or a lot of rocks where you gotta like stand on edges of rocks and shit. And do your hiking that way. I don't know. I can't really think about anything else to talk about right now. But hopefully this was enjoyable for a few people. Let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll try to do this more often. I really got to pee. Can't think about much else besides that right now. And also that I don't have a map. So I'm just doing this by memory from hiking all this so much. And assuming I still have an out later down this trail. But I have sold my house, decided on pursuing law school. I've sent out applications, got my first couple rejections, need to still send out plenty more applications, and that's what I'm doing right now. In the next month, I'm hoping to get back to the Grand Canyon, do some backpacking. That'll be fantastic. Oh, little turtle. Hey, buddy. Yeah, that's it. I gotta pee. And it looks like the trailhead back to the pavement is coming up soon. So that's it. Love you all. Follow your path to joy. You know, listen to the voice inside of you. Oh shit. And keep listening to it. And you'll keep growing and learning and moving forward in life. Even if it seems kind of crazy or kind of scary at times. Like being homeless and pursuing law school despite a criminal record in your past, right? So that's it. Love you. Take care.